Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison, and this is Fluff. This is our other cat with hair. Fun fact, both Jeff and Fluff are actually outcrosses. They are more Sphinx than they are normal cat. This one's a butthole. I'll let him go. They're both brothers. That is actually my oldest daughter's cat, and he pretty much only likes her and pretty much just hangs out in her room, and that's it. So he's a loner. I think we can all identify with that a little bit. We have plenty to go through today. We have the Epstein Discharge, the J6's Crumbling pipe bomb story, Kash's litigious beard, which is going to include a number of embarrassing stories around the FBI. And surprise, you may be surprised, this whole episode kind of starts and finishes, and kind of the overall theme is stop gooning. So I look forward to talking to you guys on the show. We'll see you there.
Beautiful thing, right now.
Rise and shine. It's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning. I hope you guys are having a good morning. It is a beautiful Thursday morning. It's a little chilly over here in Florida. Been a little colder lately, but the sun's coming out. Feels just right. Not quite running weather, maybe a little too chilly for that, but nice to kind of stand out there and just kind of soak in the sun. Feels great. Got a nice little workout in today. Got my breakfast. I'll probably watch as we go over some clips later. Productive morning. I hope you guys are having one as well. If not, we're going to get on it. And if you are already, we're going to keep going down that path. And we're going to, as always, we start the show off, or I say as always, I forgot on our Zulu episode the other day. We'll start off with some icebreaker type stories, usually more in the vein of fun, funny, gen pop, those sorts of things. And then we'll get into foreign policy, which we also forgot yesterday. And then we, like I said at the start, we have the Epstein stuff. We got some pipe bomb stuff, some FBI nonsensical stuff, which I know everyone's probably already covered. The Kash's silly little broad, but we'll put a little extra flair on it. And like I said, you'll see how we get from there to there. But I guess I do have to start off for our a little icebreaker story. A little bit of a confession. I know you guys remember a while back, if you've been following the show for a long while, that me and Richard Booth accused me of rape. He said I had divulged something to him or some shit. I forget what the specifics were. Well, I mean, my past is coming back to haunt me now. Here I am. They got me, guys. They got me. So I managed to post bail. But I know I told you guys that like the Jose name and then and Josh is the pseudonym for that. But there's an additional pseudonym. I'm actually the Trailer Park. I'm actually Bubbles from Trailer Park, Mike Smith. Okay, I hope no one actually took that seriously or left already thinking I'm a rapist, or although I don't, whatever. But yeah, this is obviously a joke. This is Bubbles. I guess he's been diddling, so I guess kind of from the jump, the goonin got him. So yeah, I've been told many times I look like Bubbles. I do a pretty good Bubbles impression as well. I think. Goddamn fucking nice kitty right there. I've watched too much Trailer Park Boys. Great show. I'm sad that Bubbles is a raper. But I still remain, I still attest to the fact that I am so not a raper. All right, moving on. The elites, they be gooning too. Here's an email where Larry Summers asks Jeffrey Epstein if Trump uses cocaine. And Epstein responds by asking if he can get a private Harvard tour for a Rothschild. So they've been dropping lots of ones. This is one of the funnier ones, I think, that's dropped. Let's run through together. This is Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary, talking to Jeffrey Epstein. And so here's the email. It says, and they put the importance high on this, too, is what's funny. In relation to Trump is the subject. I don't know who that CC is. But anyways, it says, yes, let's briefly discuss. Can you have her write me? Please direct all scheduling inquiries to my office at. Follow me on Twitter at. It's funny how you put a plug in there. I mean, I guess maybe that's just his like footer that people put on their emails. So at LH Summers. So guys, go give him a follow or www.larrysummers.com. It says, can someone from the development office show Rothschild around Harvard Saturday? And then the next one goes, how plausible is the idea that Trump is real cocaine user? So it's just funny. We have literally within the same, just one exchange difference. They're talking about setting up a deal to, Rothschild, show him around, and then also asking if Trump is using cocaine. All right, to kind of lay it on a little heavy here, let's get into the goonin'. Let's watch this clip. This is one I've had sitting around for a while, but this is someone talking about why they purchased the largest pornography company in the world. So let's watch this.
Out of all the businesses you guys could buy, why did you guys target buying Pornhub?
Yeah, so we saw an extraordinary opportunity. The fact that it's newsworthy or noteworthy that we've made the acquisition, that should tell you that this is a space that has not had mainstream investment, right? That it's a space, I always said, when we looked at the business, it's a business that's legal. Not only is it legal, but in every Western democracy, it's constitutionally protected. It could not be outlawed, even if you wanted to, but it doesn't have that legitimacy. And one of the reasons for that, and as we started to examine the business further, was that nobody wanted to say we are the owners of a major adult company, right? Everyone, they wanted the benefits of owning a major adult company. It's a profitable business, but nobody wanted to be out front and engaging with other tech businesses, with government, with law enforcement, with regulation in that sort of way that the modern tech industry has to. So we saw in that this arbitrage opportunity, right? Where if people who come from the mainstream professional networks, whether it's law enforcement, tech, finance, et cetera, this is an opportunity to really bring this industry into the 21st century. We saw an extraordinary opportunity to do that with this, this jewel of an asset, Pornhub, but obviously the entire company.
I love it. You said jewel of an asset. So I'm going to give you some stats here that we see. So one, it says 2018 Pornhub alone witnessed a jaw-dropping 5.8 billion hours of content consumption, which by the way is kind of strange because most men should only watch him for a minute or two, right? But this is like when you hear 5.8 billion.
First off, I don't know what PBD be doing. I mean, not to get too deep into gooning. I'm obviously saying don't goon, but like, who the fuck out there be gooning for 2 minutes? Is that a thing? I mean, like maybe when I was like 8 and I was like, oh no, my mom's gonna catch me, real quick in the shower. Like, no, okay, weird, whatever. I mean, I guess good. If anything, maybe that shows some character of PBD. Maybe he's not much of a gooner, so good on him, I guess. If he's not even able to kind of comprehend gooning, but let's keep moving on.
Our average visit is about 10.5 minutes.
They probably got off the computer and they left the website on, but there's a different story there. So that's nearly 665 centuries of material over a single platform in just 1 year. Here's another one for you. The world was flocking to Pornhub in 2018 with a whopping 63,992 new visitors per minute. Is that true? 63,992 new visitors per month.
Doesn't sound unreasonable.
33.5 billion visitors. Insane, right? Mm-hmm. And the most popular day to visit Pornhub is Sunday. You guys got all these different stats. And you even put up a stat recently on which state consumed the least while the election was going on and who was committed to it. So you're also involved in the election stuff that's going on, right? But at the same time, you got a petition. I think something came out that says more than 2.2. Thank you so much, Kelly. More than 2.2 million people have signed an online petition to shut down the site. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that the topic of pornography has always been a divisive one. I think it has to do with the topic of sexuality in general, right? There are always going to be different views about human sexuality, and pornography is just emblematic of those. In fact, it's a little more public. It's more in your face. That's the nature of it. It's sex for the public. So you're going to have people who have really deeply held convictions about the proper place of sex in our society, and that's a good debate. There's nothing wrong with that debate. But you take 2.5 million signatures, we have 130 million daily active users. So people have voted with their mice and with their feet in terms of where they're going to go. But of course, it's going to be a subject of public debate.
Yep, this is how they're going to control us going forward. I think, as I'm going to make a little bit of a case as we go through this episode, I think we are at a unique position in time where especially the young men of the world, if they can just buck up. And from signs I've seen from some of the younger generations, maybe a little bit, maybe I'm being a little too hopeful, perhaps they can. I think in a weird way, you can like basically in a kind of almost like short the establishment. Because as I said, we'll kind of get into, I think they're over investing into the goonage. I mean, now are they selling these things as gooning? No, it's just that it's very obvious for anyone who can extrapolate ideas that, oh, this is going to be used for gooning. This is what you're doing. You are investing infrastructure, government infrastructure, making it too big to fail, all likely going to end up being siphoned into gooning, degeneracy, etc. And if you just buck up and have just a tiny bit of, self-control, I really think you can topple a fucking system by simply not masturbating, and that's where we're at. It's kind of a weird world we're in. All right, let's say our good mornings, and then we'll get into foreign policy. Let's get to it. Good morning, King David. Good morning. CS says it's still looking like 11:30. You sent that at 11:29. It says over here. That's weird. Good morning, Knife Safety Plus. Says, good morning, I won't be here tomorrow. I'm going to the knife. Wish me luck. Well, good luck, Knife Safety Plus. Be safe. Do whatever the doctor tells you to do. Oh, it's my knee, a very small surgery. Okay, cool. Worst case scenario, you come out with one leg, so that's great. Good morning, Comment Mama. Well, good luck though. I hope your knee works. I don't know exactly what you're doing, but I know it's always squirrely whenever you're talking about joints and stuff. So, I don't know. That's moving. I mean, it may not be a big deal to a lot of people, but that's going to be a big deal to you. So I hope it works out well. Good morning, Alien Big Cat. Good morning, Retardo. Good morning. Good morning, IB. Good morning, Comment Mama saying save your vril for sure. If gooning is bad, explain how Jared Fogle lost all that weight. The rampant devouring of children. It really burns off the calories. Good morning, Boomer Sayer. Good morning, Mustache. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning, Marty McFly. Good morning, Liam. Good morning. Bubbles got. He sure did. Marty McFly, are you hunting me down or something? What is this? You're asking if I'm near Clearwater? I guess I did just mention I was near Florida. I'm roughly Tampa area. I don't know if in that area. I'm not far from Clearwater. I don't remember the last time I've been there, but I don't know. It can't be more than a 30-minute drive from where I'm at. So I don't know. Maybe sometime we should do something. Or hey, sound off in the chat if there's any other people. I mean, we don't have a ton of people in here, but if there's any other people in that roughly in the Florida area, that'd be interesting to know. You never know. Maybe we could set something up. I know I've also teased you guys that I think I need to check with the wife because she's the one that handles all the stuff with clients. I think I need to deliver a kitty to LA in like a month or so. So I might end up going up there. So I know we could also, and that's where Austin's at. So we could always set up some sort of meetup with fans or something, hang out. Me and him did that when we were in Vegas with one of the fans. It was really cool. I like that. So I'd like to do more things like that. CS says porns and J's are like peas and carrots. Late stage goonage. Liam says, yeah, it's a good way to describe the current state of things, but I think it's going to flip back. Marty says all these guys goon pervs by nature. Want to collect goon faces for their blackmail. Good morning, Northside. CA. Now, he says a porn guy should be arrested. Now, actually, I will say, maybe a lot of you guys would disagree with me. I still, despite this, I still don't want this stuff to be illegal. Because for one, I mean, like we kind of talked with the immigration stuff, it's like the idea that I'm going to be like, try to get the government to enforce this thing. It's like, well, that's a whole other nightmare that you're unraveling. At the end of the day, it really comes down to, I don't know, men having the self-control to fucking stop touching their penises. So, I don't this idea that we need to off-put this on somebody else and they should be arrested. Yeah, I think this guy's despicable. I think he's fucking gross. But, I guess, sure, maybe if I was dictator of the world, I'd probably throw him in a fucking dungeon. But I'm not. And me appealing to the power base there and trying to be like, this guy should be arrested, it's probably going to backfire and end up into some sort of authoritarian nightmare. Finance bros goon on double time. Comment Mama. Yeah, they're watching those stocks. They got to get that shit out. Good morning, Fred44. Good morning, Madam Boo. That's a fun name. Good morning. IB says, I think Rabbi Dildo bought a Danish company called Sinful for $250 million a few years ago. That totally checks out. Let me see. I'm waiting for some good drops. I'm sure there's some crazy J facts in the chat after that one. No Habla says, but good morning, No Habla. He says, the only argument I have for Pornhub's continued existence is that they won't ban you for stream subject matter. That's a good point. I've heard a lot of people actually have used that for streaming other things. I wouldn't really want to attract that sort of clientele particularly. Good morning, Marnamat. Good morning. I'm a Scientologist now, I guess. Oh yeah, I'm assuming because it's like they got is it Clearwater and Tampa? I think it's near Clearwater, Tampa. I know one of the tattoo places I used to go to is right next to it, and so whenever I'd go out with my tattoo artist for him to take a smoke, there'd be a few times there'd be some like guys, nerdy dudes in suits trying to talk to us and be like, "Frig off, dude." Good morning, PJR. Good morning. I do not want to touch your wiener, Swedish Doom Goblin. And you should reduce your touching your own as well. That's the theme of today. What else we got? PJR is telling me to stay out of Washington. I don't think I'm going there anytime soon, so you're good. Good morning, Eric Petty. Ooh, that name reminded me. I went on Eric Hunley's show last night. I don't know when he'll be dropping it. But I did also. We did like 2 episodes. We recorded an episode for my show, and then we recorded an episode for his show. Mine's currently behind the paywall for the patrons for the one to check it out. I was kind of more feeling him out because he's a guy with he's got like probably 15-ish to X times my platform, and someone really getting into the Oklahoma City bombing. So I'm kind of like, oh shit, hell yeah, dude, feeling him out. Kind of like to be there for like, hey, if he needs any thoughts on resources or who to talk to or this or that, like, hell yeah, I want to make this shit happen. So I definitely was excited to talk to him and kind of pick his brain and where he's at with the whole story. So for those who are interested in that, you can check that out on both channels. Good morning, Necro Mechanic Mole. Fun stuff. Banning substances activities to ensure an adherence to a moral code is fake and gay. I agree. Nice to meet you too, madam. Good to have you in the chat. Good to have you joining us. Everyone be nice. Let me see. You guys are talking about books in the chat. That's nice. I love this. I love you guys. I love this community. What about flicking the bean? Is that still allowable? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because I'm not a chick and I don't really have that. I've only really been. I've been married for well over a decade, so like, I don't really want to. For one, it's a weird thing. I don't really talk about it because the only like way I have to even like understand that is like what I know of like my wife's. Because it's not like I know. There's no other woman in the world that I've ever been comfortable enough for them to tell me about their those habits. So like, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm way out of my skis there. I have no idea the morality of women flicking their bean. I'd say I gotta get that. You guys discuss. We have enough women in the chat. You guys discuss. I would assume. I just from pop culture. I know growing up, they always made it like women were like whores with like a million sex toys and stuff. And like I would think that's probably not great. Like I don't know. But I don't know. Whatever. And even chicks don't even usually like use porn as much either. So it's like, I don't know. It's like a different thing for women. So I don't know. It's like apples and oranges kind of. Good morning, Checo Ho. But I kind of would lean towards generally not, but I don't fucking know. No Hobble says porn is gay because it causes a man to have a preference in dick, and a man that has a dick preference is a faggot. All right, fair logic there. All right, we probably should move on for gooning. This is... So yeah, women don't coom, so it could be a loophole. That's a good one. All right, no more gooning talk. Oh, we are doing gooning talk, but not like that. Not in the chat. Not getting too gross. So let's get into foreign policy. Start off with Latin America. What's going on over there? We're getting ready to murder a bunch of people. Aircraft carrier just showed up there, so that's not too great. And then at the same time, we have the UK is essentially no longer sharing intelligence with the United States because they are of the belief that it is illegal, that, hey, you can't just murder people on the high seas. What a novel idea. Isn't that crazy? And not only are they doing that, but so is Colombia, who is kind of the neighbor to one of these the Venezuelans that we're thinking are probably about to get it from our boys here. So But he said he ordered his military on Tuesday to suspend intelligence sharing with the U.S. over its bombing of alleged drug boats in the region. In response to a report by the UK suspending intelligence sharing with the US and the Caribbean over the illegal bombing campaign, Pedro said in a post on X that he was ordering all levels of the public security forces intelligence to suspend the sending of communications and other dealings with US security agencies. Such a measure will be maintained as long as the missile attack on boats on the Caribbean persists. The fight against drugs must be subordinated to the human rights of the Caribbean people, Pedro added. So yeah, we're starting to get to, it's almost like the Israel effect. So I guess whatever, if we keep going down it, I kind of hope if this keeps happening that more countries join the fray and tell Donald Trump to fuck off, because we're just murdering people. And moving on to Israel, looks like we're going to get a nice new military base. The U.S. to build $500 million military base in Israel on the Gaza border. It's planning to build a large military base, according to a joint report from the Israeli investigative outlet Shomrim and the Israeli newspaper Yedioth Ahronoth. Sounds like I just summoned Satan. The report said the construction of the base would cost about $500 million and would be designed to house thousands of U.S. and international troops tasked with maintaining the Gaza ceasefire deal. The U.S. has already established a military outpost in southern Israel to oversee the ceasefire, known as the Civilian Military Coordination Center, but the construction of such a large base would mark a significant escalation of the U.S. military presence. It would also increase the U.S. involvement in Gaza, where Israel is regularly carrying out attacks and killing Palestinians despite the truce deal. So that's great. We're just throwing ourselves further into the fire. I'm sure there's no issue whatsoever about us having a base on the Gaza border. That will never be an issue, of course. Never, ever. Why would that be? And at the same time, we have Trump asking the Israeli president, bear in mind, it might be confusing for some, it fucks me up still sometimes. Other countries have presidents, and some countries have presidents and prime ministers at the same time. President, I think, typically in most situations, usually like the domestic leader, and then they have like a foreign type thing. Is my vague understanding of that type of government. So the president is Isaac Herzog, and Trump sent him a letter. Let's see. Actually, let's read the letter. Or did they not show us the letter? Oh, here we go. Let's look at it. It says, His Excellency Isaac Herzog, President of the State of Israel, Jerusalem. Dear Mr. President, it is my honor to write you at this historic time, as we have together just secured peace that has been sought for at least 3,000 years. I hereby thank you and all Israelis again for your gracious and warm hospitality, and I'm addressing a key topic of my speech at the Knesset. As the great state of Israel and the amazing Jewish people move past the terribly difficult times of the last 3 years, I hereby call on you to fully pardon Benjamin Netanyahu, who has been a formidable and decisive wartime prime minister and is now leading Israel into a time of peace, which includes my continued work with key Middle East leaders to add many additional companies to the world-changing Abraham Accords. So, a time of peace, okay. Prime Minister Netanyahu has stood tall for Israel in the face of strong adversaries and long odds, and his attention cannot be unnecessarily diverted. While I absolutely respect the independence of the Israeli justice system and its requirements, I believe that this case against Bibi, who has fought alongside me for a long time, including against the very tough adversary of Israel, Iran, is a political, unjustified prosecution. Isaac, we've established a great relationship, one that I am very thankful for and honored by. And we agreed as soon as I was inaugurated in January that the focus had to be centered on finally bringing the hostages home and getting the peace agreement done. Now that we have achieved these unprecedented successes and are keeping Hamas in check, it is time to let Bibi unite Israel by pardoning him and ending that lawfare once and all. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I love that he likes that little sign off. And then here's his little signature. I think that's the one that's not from the Epstein one, if I recall correctly, because I do think he has 2 separate ones. And bear in mind, this is the leader of the country that was using Palestinians as human shields. We covered at the time, as it was happening, many stories, tales of them, literally using Israel or using Palestinians to sweep buildings for explosives, things of the like, many times basically summarily executing them after using them for such, all the while screeching and screaming about how the Palestinians use human shields by existing in the area that other supposed baddies may exist. It screams out as it strikes you or whatever, is kind of seems to never fail. So the U.S. gathered intelligence last year of Israeli officials discussing their soldiers using Palestinians as human shields in Gaza by sending them into tunnels and buildings believed to be lined with explosives. Reuters got reported on Wednesday, citing 2 U.S. officials. So, as I said before, this would be during the Biden administration. Essentially, they had this intel at the time. The officials said that the intel was shared with the White House during the final weeks of the Biden administration. Despite the use of human shields being a clear war crime, in violation of international law, Biden officials did nothing to curtail U.S. military aid to Israel after receiving the intelligence. The IDF's use of Palestinian civilians as human shields, known as the Mosquito Protocol, was so widespread in Gaza that one military officer writing anonymously in the Israeli newspaper Haaretz said that the IDF operated a sub-army of Palestinian slaves. While the IDF officially denies that it used human shields, there has been widespread reporting on it in Israeli media and testimony from Israeli soldiers and Palestinians about the practice. I know we covered on this show when it happened, this 80-year-old Palestinian man that they forced to essentially sweep a building for explosives. They put an explosive around his neck, threatened to blow his head off, and then after they let him go, I believe I can't remember for the original story, he didn't get far. There literally was maybe 100 yards or something crazy, and he got murdered, along with his wife. So yeah, I guess we really need to come to the aid of Netanyahu. Here's an interesting one we covered on Already Dead the other day. We were talking about the militias and kind of how it's this weird, almost like Gladio in your face, where we had at the time during like the GHF AIDS stuff, where they're claiming that they're looting and yada yada yada, and like, oh, we got to do this because Hamas is the one looting and this and that, and they're fucking everything up. And meanwhile, Israel is literally funding other gangs essentially in Gaza that is to be anti-Hamas, and many of those were reportedly the ones that were stealing and stuff. So, and now we're at this weird point where now those same gangs that they were funding, now they're trying to utilize them for like these official functions. When you're like, I know, it's just bizarre. It's like Gladio in your face. They're not even trying to do the dialectical game. They're just like, it's incredibly low effort. And they're called the Popular Forces, is what they've been calling them. And so a news report reports that the Popular Forces, a militia led by former smuggler Yasser Abu Shabab, have been given the go-ahead by Israel to facilitate the work in areas it controls. 2 Israeli sources speaking to the outlet confirmed the plan, while adding that the Israeli government did not have a wider plan for the anti-Hamas militias operating in Gaza following the army's long-mooted withdrawal from the enclave. Abu Shabab has characterized the Popular Forces as a group of Palestinians opposed to Hamas's rule in the Gaza Strip. However, there have been numerous reports of the group engaging in extortion, looting of humanitarian aid, and coordinating with the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Fund, which has been accused of overseeing the deaths of hundreds of Palestinian aid sites. Some members of the group reportedly have links to ISIS. Israel has provided support for the Popular Forces alongside a range of other militias that have increasingly sprung up across Gaza as part of an attempt to undermine Hamas's hegemony over the enclave. A Palestinian source familiar with the matter told Khan that associates of Abu Shabab also took part in meetings with senior American officials. Areas of Gaza controlled by the Popular Forces have enjoyed access to aid and resources that have been otherwise denied the starvation-stricken enclave. This is largely due to theft of aid, with an internal 2024 UN report identifying the group as the most influential stakeholders behind the systematic and massive looting of convoys. Despite the announcement of a ceasefire in October, Israel has carried out repeated attacks in Gaza, leaving at least 242 dead. So yeah, they're using these guys to essentially be security forces in the area and that they're controlling. If you want to hear more, like I said, on Already Dead, Adam Fitzgerald called in the show the other day. So I don't remember exactly the timestamp. I think you think it should be probably in the timestamps if you want to look. But we talked to Adam Fitzgerald, a wealth of knowledge when it comes to that sort of stuff, foreign policy. Let's go ahead and move on. Once again, pointing to the what the fuck these people are about. Here is Israel Ben Gvir handing out sweets after death penalty for Palestinians advances. So we've covered in this show. They have this weird. They have this death penalty bill that essentially it's like if you're a Palestinian that is accused of murdering an Israeli, and it says like on nationalistic grounds. Like, but let's be real. They're already probably going to be incredibly vague with the first thing of like murder because they're notoriously bad about, like, I don't know, treating Palestinians like people with rights because they don't have any there. But essentially, yeah, they're going to be allowed to murder them, and that's so essentially creating a death penalty if they kill Israelis for nationalistic purposes. And the interesting thing is, obviously, there's not an opposite of this. They even were quoted, I think, on the original story saying, "Oh, well, there's no such thing as Jewish terrorists." Like, well, that's fucking rich. So, but after I think it went through the first reading. Legislation passes first of 3 parliament readings by a majority of 39 members out of 120. So it still needs to go to 2 more readings. So I don't really know the likelihood of it, but I mean, I obviously wouldn't be surprised either way. And just if you aren't completely convinced that this is a nation of ghouls, well, here's an Israeli crowd applauding soldiers accused of raping Palestinian prisoners. So it's still going on. They're still having these riots here. So 2 Israeli soldiers accused of raping a Palestinian detainee were met with cheers as they arrived at the Supreme Court in Jerusalem on Monday. Supporters in the courtroom shouted, "We are all Unit 100," referring to the military unit to which the suspects belong, according to Israel's Channel 14, which, like, I just can't, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, this is like, even me, as much as wild as much as I'm what the fuck? Like, I can't even understand. Just like, how do you even wrap your head around this? Like, how do you go, these people are being accused of rape. And I don't know if we play on this show or if it was something I watch elsewhere, but there's been like interviews where they're talking to these people and they're like, yeah, well, this thing happened, or they're like, yeah, but like if this could happen to them, then this could happen to any of us. And you're like, yeah, if you brutally raped a prisoner or something, yeah, sure, like, like what the fuck? We are all Unit 100. Okay, weird flex, but all right. Footage shared on social media showed the 2 men, their faces concealed by hats, sunglasses, and masks, embracing each other as some in the room applauded. The hearing concerned a dispute over who would lead the investigation to the leak of a video showing their assault on a Palestinian detainee last year. The case follows last month's revelations implicating the Army's former chief legal advisor, Yifet Tomer Yerushalmi, in the leak of the footage to Channel 12, a scandal that caused uproar in Israel. Right-wing politicians, journalists, and activists accused Tomer Yerushalmi of persecuting Israeli soldiers and damaging Israel's image internationally. She resigned shortly after the revelations and was subsequently arrested by Israeli police. A rift has since emerged between Justice Minister Yariv Levin and Attorney General Gali Baharav Miara. I swear, anytime I say these like ministers' names and stuff, I'm just like creating demons into the world or something. Over who should head the probe into the leak, Levin has sought to appoint his own legal advisor, while Baharav Miara insists the case should remain under the state's prosecution authority. All right, let me make sure the audio is working. I actually want to show you one little clip, and then we'll be done with the foreign policy portion, because I do want to see. I want to look at this. I want to see them chimping out about rape. Let's see how they how much these motherfuckers love rape. Let's watch this. This is Israeli soldiers involved in rape of Palestinian detainee get standing ovation. Oh Jesus. Here we are. And they have their faces all covered and stuff, clearly trying to obscure themselves. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't have to put their name. I would assume with a court thing. I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of way they could keep an anonymity. Let's keep going. Yay, rape, rape, yay. Right. Man, those guys love their rape. A whole fucking nation of gooners, I tell you. All right, let's get the chat, say some more hellos, and then we'll move on to the first topic, the Epstein stuff. We got quite a bit for that segment for you guys. Should be a good one. Alien says, "Flick it, boo. We won't watch." All right, let's keep going. What else we got in here? All right. Let me see. Good morning, Gotis. Good morning. Never goon, says Gerald. Give your essence to a worthy woman. Just keep it all to yourself forever. Just the most low time preference behavior ever. You just never ever come in your life. Just save that sucker up. Good morning, Cubertamo. Good morning. Mustache is horrible news. I'm confused. Do you have horrible news, or was it something I just said? Good morning, Justin Valentine says they conveniently and totally ignore almost 2,000 years of history in which most Jews were not in Palestine but in Northern Europe. Many such cases. I'm dumb. What's gooning? Well, that's actually fun. Like, defining gooning is actually kind of, because I wouldn't even say it's actually. I wouldn't say gooning is just masturbating, to be honest. I would think like gooning is like if anything, I'd actually more closely associate with like watching porn or something. But generally speaking, probably just like jerking it, basically, is what it means. So like just kind of engaging that sort of behavior, that like compulsive, watching porn, jerking off, that sort of thing. So that's what it is. Or, I mean, you can kind of, I'm being a little bit, I'm broadening it a little bit here because I'm applying it also somewhat to the Epstein thing with these people. And then also even then, in a sense, I might even, I don't know if I'll have time to squeeze it in there. I came across this one celebrity whose woman has gotten into influencing and is also like just insufferable. And I guess I was kind of maybe connect. Maybe I wouldn't say that's gooning, but almost the idea of just learning to control your cock. Because like, even then, even from the other flip side of it, even from like finding a mate, like if you're too desperate, if you're too whatever, you may just settle, and then now you just have a fucking nightmare of a life, all because you want pussy. And it's like peace. And I think maybe it's an old man's thing, but you get to a point where you're like, peace is far more valuable than pussy. Like if you find some crazy pussy, she's going to fucking ruin your life. Like, yeah, you might have like a year or two, you're like, this is awesome, or something, but it's I don't know. It's a high time preference game, essentially. So I'm passing on old man knowledge. By the way, I'm not saying I have any complaints with my wife or anything. I'm just thoughts, things I think about. So, good morning. And these are all things we all can work on. Like I said, even this too, I'm like, obviously I'm not going to give you like everything about my life, but like, especially any man out there, it's so ubiquitous, this sort of behavior, that it's so like, you kind of assume anyone generally is. So it's kind of something we're all like kind of struggling with. So we could kind of probably all interact somewhat brotherly with love here and kind of boost each other up. We don't have to be mean about it. I mean, maybe a little bit in like a kind of brotherly way, kind of slap their balls and be like, stop being a homo type thing, but nothing crazy, nothing malicious. It's all in good love. I think we all need to think about these things. Really, it's just compulsive behavior in general. I think that's probably not great. Like whether it's like smoking, even smoking like tobacco, whether it's weed, like even to like a lesser degree, things like caffeine, which I'm doing right now. Like just these sorts of, I don't know. I guess I don't know how to really describe it. It's maybe some of the chat will. Let's keep moving. The Nazis invented what's called the Jerkenhofer 9000, says Knife Safety. Yeah, the Uber goons. Yeah, see, what people don't realize is they bring up, the jerk-off machine in the Holocaust, or like, they're jerking them off to death. Well, what they don't realize is that was a result of them complaining. Like, they just, oh my God, I got squirt. Oh, I need a squirt. Oh my God, when am I going to squirt? I need a squirt. And then they go, and finally, the prison guards just got tired of hearing it. They go, fuck. It's just like, we got this, what is this? Is it some sort of machine that we use for milking cows? Or just turn it sideways and just use it to jerk them off. They'll fucking love it. They'll shut the fuck up. That's what it was. And then, of course, they take that and go, they were trying to murder us with jerk-off machines. No, we're just trying to get you to shut the fuck up. That's what we're trying to do. Shut the fuck up. That's what we did. So, I mean, it's the only way you take care of gooners. Throw them some porn. Throw them a fucking fleshlight or something. Here you go. Leave me alone. That was an awful joke. Although, no, it's not. No, I don't fucking care. Who gives a shit? Good morning, F Web. Good morning. Good morning. He says Trump is a good dude if you're not white. I guess. Yeah. Good morning. Goon bracelets that generate electricity. Okay, Necromechanimal, I think, found the loophole here. If you can find out some sort of a perpetual motion generator, then perhaps it's okay. Let me see. See, madam, sorry for asking, I think. But hey, now you know. I think it's important, though. I know it sounds crass and is gross, but I guess this is the perfect channel to talk about it. But I do think, especially for a young man, it's an important message, particularly. Because while I do joke, I actually really do think they are getting ready to tap into that vein like fucking crazy, taking it overdrive. And they've been kind of doing it for at least the past, 10, 20 years, incrementally so. And I think they're going to try to take it in overdrive. And I have a feeling, perhaps, that the newer generations just that you can only take it so far before they just get miserable and people start realizing, this compulsive behavior I continually engage in that you guys are promoting seems to be, to some degree, contributing to my suffering. So perhaps I'll stop. I don't know. People are stupid, though, so eventually maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just keep gooning over and over and over. But you guys, please be sure to hit that like button. Thumb this shit up. Says CS. Please do. Mustache says they've used dogs to our prisoners like Detro and his cohorts. Yes, yeah, it is. And snakes. Gross shit. Let me see what else we got in here. Oh, good morning, Ted. Good morning, Ted Hitchcock. Says, good morning, my ninjas. Good morning, good morning. Qbert says, nah, bro, I'm busting nuts in these hoes. Good for you, brother. I guess, I don't know. I do think, I know it sounds crazy. I do think, men, as I get older, I'm more and more like, shit, there really is a good reason for chastity, as ridiculous as it is. Because it's just kind of allows you to be able to control yourself, self-control, and from there, I don't know, you can kind of find peace. So, any dumb monkey can choke the chickens with his knife. All right, what else we got? Good morning, Bobo. Good to see you here. Good morning. We're talking about goonin'. But Madam says, I think I'm going to like it here. I always like seeing someone fitting in the chat. It's cool. The more this grows, I really do love this community. It really is great. Gerald says he's going to send me a swastika of cocaine on an ass of a Colombian chick. I think you missed the idea here. I actually almost blocked Sam Tripoli the other day. I've been far more like, I guess I'll give you a peek into I've gone over, I think it's been about a month or so without any of the old pee, which I guess I know it's maybe some people are like, oh, it's gross, but I don't know, for most men, that's crazy. Actually, if you looked up the stats, I think most men just don't talk about it, but so yeah, I know, I think it's great too. So, but yeah, but yeah, I've been blocking that shit lately, and I almost blocked Sam because he fucking shared some full on just frontal titties of some busted chick. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I'm not trying to see titties on my timeline. Especially, I bring up the Twitter on here all the time. Can you imagine if a titty popped up here? I'd be fucked. All right, let's keep moving. Good morning, Chuck. Good morning. I think that's the first I've seen you. Okay, I got caught up to the fucking the jerk off joke. That was a good joke, actually. Yeah. Okay. It was in the moment. In the moment, I thought of it. Hey, sometimes this magic happens. Somebody clip it up and have fun with it. I don't know. Or use it. I think maybe that was a rough, if you take it and you craft it, that could be better. But I don't know, maybe it won't be as organic if you're trying to then craft it. I don't know, whatever. Man, you guys are chatty today. Qbert says, I feel like I'm aging at a rapid pace when I'm practicing abstinence. Yeah. Hey, a month? Aren't you in the 30s? That doesn't mean I ain't bussing, to be clear. I'm just not using that stuff. So, yeah. All right, cool. We're good now. Qbert says, I don't look P. I never really comprehend why I want to look at something I can't touch. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it's good for you. I'm glad you never fell into that trap, and I hope many men can follow your lead. Stay strong, brother. But watch out for the pussy, too. It's more than just the pictures online. Stay away from that. So it's kind of all gooning in a sort of way. So you gotta find the right one. And all right, let's get into the main topics. Let's talk about the elites of gooning. Get back into that. Here is Donald Trump. He says the Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. The Democrats cost our country $1.5 trillion with their recent antics of viciously closing our country, while at the same time putting many at risk, and they should pay a fair price. There should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else, okay? And any Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country and fixing the massive damage caused by the Democrats. Well, tough shit, buddy. It's only going to get fucking worse. We're going to keep on deflecting. Here's Thomas Massey. He says, in spite of a last-ditch effort by the president to foil the motion and Speaker Johnson's propaganda, the discharge petition I have been leading just succeeded. In December, the entire House of Representatives will vote on releasing the Epstein files. So, after all this pissing and shitting and screaming and farting and, oh God, we need, everything, we got it, and now we got to wait another month for them to do this all over again, which, okay. I guess, good. This is kind of where I come from, being like the agorist type of okay. This all seems like a put on. I'm not saying Thomas Massey is putting us on. But either way, maybe it will be the legislative actions that end up being the downfall, but really also there is just so much other stuff. We covered last week Drop Site's, was it 4 articles I think they had from digging into the Hondala hacking archive that was out there. That's been there, I think, for years now, just kind of waiting for someone to just dig into it. But it was an Iranian, I believe it's presumed to have Iranian ties, and it's a hacking group, so that's why some people are like, oh, they're Iranian, we can't dig into that. But that's what the job of a journalist is to dig into things and then find ways to verify them. They go, oh, okay, well, here's this email, and then, I can butt it up against this thing and go, oh, this is how I know, yada, yada, yada. Obviously, you're not just going to take it at face value. But yeah, we have over at Drop Site News. You can go check those out. Go check out maybe some of my previous episodes where we talk about it. Wild shit. It's basically just been confirmed at this point that Epstein was an Israeli intelligence, at least an asset. Whether he was a full on actually technically with CIA agents, I think it's their when you say somebody's a CIA agent, technically it's confusing. It's this weird stupid game. Technically, you have CIA officers, and then they're and then their sources that they use are agents, agents of change or whatever. Whereas FBI is their agents, the FBI agents who work for the FBI, and then they have informants. I don't know why it's like that, but it's confusing. But anyways, he's at the very least, I guess, an agent then, if not a full-on, officer of the fucking Mossad or whatever, however they signify the official people. He was setting up surveillance states in Africa. He was helping set up, he was literally architecting, he was setting up what ended up being what happened to Syria just a year or so ago, a decade ago. He was setting up deals with former prime ministers of Israel with Putin, the head of Russia, and he was turning down meetings with Putin. This is the sort of person we're talking about. And then we also got some of the crazy drops that we'll get into here in a bit, I'm sure, with a show that seems like Trump very much knew. So, while it is a little bit frustrating, at least I guess this helps. It gives a jumping off point. It reminds people, but I do think it'll probably be the journalistic stuff that really does it. But I do think the end is a-coming. Although the White House disagrees. Here they are saying, we are so back, which, what? Okay, dude. Sagar and Jetty pointed out, asked, is nobody else noticing how crazy it is the AG and the FBI director brought Lauren Boebert into the White House Situation Room to lobby her against Epstein files release? There's a lot of other meetings in the White House complex suggests classified material. So, so I'm a little bit getting at too. I didn't follow closely enough to know the specifics, like who was doing what here and there. I know we talked about, yes, I were a little bit concerned Nancy Mace might flake because I guess they were honing in on her at first, trying to get her. I mean, I don't really know enough about the attacks and stuff, but that's what I was hearing is that and I was genuinely concerned about her because she's going through some weird shit, and she's a theater broad, essentially. She makes it all about her. So, point being is she was one of the ones from the jump that I was a little bit like side-eyed, like, I'm surprised she's even in this. And then when I realized, like, oh, she's doing it to make it a circus about her, and I'm like, oh, and now she's also got this other thing going on that we'll probably cover one of these days. If she'd flaked, we'd be covering it today, where it looks like she may have been essentially making fake rape allegations, perhaps. So, yeah, just wild shit. So I'm just like, I could totally see her being the one who flakes. But luckily, that doesn't seem to be a problem. But as Sager points out here, too, they got Lauren Boebert, and they pulled her into the White House Situation Room to try to get her to shift her shit, which I guess, I mean, I don't know if she ended up shifting her position at all. I mean, either way, it ended up going through. So, but if she didn't, then like, good on her. That to be literally gets this gigantic struggle session where they're probably dropping all sorts of info on her and still being like, nope, fuck off. So, just wild, wild stuff. Here's, prior on the show, he's been on a couple times actually, Nick Bryant. One of the things too is one of the emails we covered yesterday. There was from the Democratic Oversight Committee that they dropped. They dropped emails about something essentially relating to a victim. They redacted a victim name, and it essentially was implying Trump had spent time with the victim or something. I forget which specific one this was. But then the Republican Oversight Committee, I think, then responded, was like, well, that was Virginia, to make it more to explain it away, it's because Virginia had made statements about how she didn't see, I forget what she said about Trump, but essentially saying that Trump didn't do nothing type thing. But here we have Nick Bryant saying, well, that's wrong. He said Virginia Giuffre is not the victim in the 2011 email released by the Oversight Committee. Karen Leavitt lied when she announced the victim in the emails. I guess I was wrong. Maybe it was Republican Oversight Committee as well that did it, but Karen Leavitt did too. But when she announced the victim in the emails released by the Oversight Committee was Virginia Giuffre. Since then, it has been repeatedly tweeted that Virginia is the victim named in the emails released by the Oversight Committee. The reason for defaulting to Virginia is that she had definitively stated she wasn't molested by Donald Trump. However, it would have been physically impossible for her to be in Florida or New York in 2011 when Epstein wrote the email because she was living in Australia. According to page 184 of Virginia's heartbreaking book, Nobody's Girl, she was married in Thailand on October 16, 2002, and then she moved to Australia with her new husband shortly after. And according to page 257, she returned to Florida in October of 2013 with her husband and children so she could litigate against Epstein. In the April 2nd, 2011 email from Epstein to Maxwell, Epstein wrote that the victim spent hours at my house with him, Trump. For Virginia to be the victim in that email, she would have had to have been exempt from the laws of physics. I realize this information is laden with cognitive dissonance for Trump supporters, but it's a hard, cold reality. As I've mentioned repeatedly, I'm not a Republican or Democrat, but I believe that children shouldn't be abused with impunity. Who would have thought? Someone who thinks children shouldn't be raped. I can get on with that message. Here is the email in question. I think we covered this yesterday. This is from Jeffrey Epstein. It says, I've been thinking that. It says, I want you to realize the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim, this is redacted. So, and then obviously the Republicans trying to say it's Virginia, and our boy Nick saying otherwise. Spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. So looking like it's the beginning of the end for the old Cheeto. It ain't looking too good. I wanted to hone back in on this one. We talked about this yesterday. Michael Wolff. Let's read this email again, because this is just I'm still processing this one. I'm actually I'm interested what you guys have to say. Leave chats, comments. I struggle with this one. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm still need to dismiss this guy as a big old piece of shit. But this is Michael Wolff. For those who aren't aware of this guy, he's the guy who always brags about he has hundreds of hours of videos of him talking to Epstein, or tape. I don't remember if it's video or if it's audio. And I think he always like, oh, I'm like saving it for a book. He's claimed that he's like pitched it to all sorts of people and nobody wanted it, like every streaming service, every book, or whatever. Like he's tried to apparently supposedly get rid of this. So I don't know what he's sitting on. I still struggle to understand why he's sitting on this stuff, which I think is important for the context here. But essentially, he's a guy that has a ton of Epstein stuff. He's always like vaguely pointing to something he's going to do with this stuff, but he's just sitting on it. So, okay. But now we have this leak of an interaction between him and Epstein, someone he spent, I believe, hundreds of hours, or tens, if not hundreds of hours with, ingratiating himself to him, being friendly, which I mean, I guess you would if you were a journalist. You're not going to be an asshole to your source. Why would you do that? But this seems to cross a little bit of a line to me. Now, this is in 2015, December 16th. Now, this is what he says, and this is a response to Trump. Essentially, I guess he was Wolf had tipped off Epstein that he was, or not Epstein, but Trump, that he was not Trump, but Epstein, that Trump was getting ready to be asked about Epstein. Like, I guess he'd heard rumors through his, journalist contacts or whatever, that someone was going to ask Trump about Epstein. And so now it becomes, well, what is Trump going to say? And so then this is what Michael Wolff had to say to Jeffrey Epstein about this. And I just think something wild about this. It says, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. Now, I mean, I would say that like that sentence right there heavily implies to me that he's been to the plane and the house, but whatever. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. Oh, and then the previous one was, I hear CNN planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in Scrum afterwards. So, and then Epstein said, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? Sometimes I forget the proper order of reading emails because I hardly use emails. But yeah, and that's what Michael Wolff leans into. Now, I did watch his show. He has a show on the Daily Beast, and I can remember the co-host is like Julia or something, a British lady. She's a likable lady. Seems nice, And she did seem to hold his feet a little bit to the fire, to the degree they apparently. I think it's called like Inside Trump's Head or something is the name of the podcast they do. And it's a regular, I think it's like almost every day or something that they do. It's usually only like 30 minutes long or something. They kind of talk about whatever the latest thing is. And it's almost always that, I think her name's Julia, the Julia, I think. And then this guy, Michael Wolff, who is, known for, I think he kind of got brought in for that because of his connection to, he's also done a lot of reporting on Trump and stuff too. Was in the White House, was kind of, he's known for kind of being the sort of journalist that like almost in an overdoing it kind of way, ingratiates himself to people, makes himself friends, writes these stories and stuff. And I guess kind of a lesson to people to watch out for these sort of people because they could get into, but I don't know. I still struggle to believe that it's just that, I just really, really am trying to get the story. And that's how he sold it to on the show I watched this morning, his most recent thing addressing all this. He kind of framed it as if, 1 second, let me mute this real quick. My wife just walked out. Sorry, I was having to tell the wife where she can go, just where they won't see her in the background. She's supposed to be sleeping right now. Something must have woke her up. But anyways, but yeah, back to Michael Wolff. Yeah, it looks, so his whole thing is like doing the whole journalist thing, ingratiating himself to these people, but he tries to sell it as like, oh, I was just trying to keep the story. I was trying to make the story happen. It just seems a bit much to me. And especially, it'd be one thing if it was like he had already released the information, or was getting ready to release the information, but then sitting on all this info and then also pairing that with this sort of behavior. I struggle to just sign this or to go along with, oh, I'm just playing a role. I was infiltrating a group to make a story. Seems a bit much to me. I'd be interested in you guys' thoughts. More on the Epstein thing. Here's another email from him to Tom Barak, which that's our current envoy to Syria and I believe a few other Middle East places. So kind of a big deal. It's been also framed by Michael Wolff, funny enough, the one I just talked about. He frames the relationship between Tom Barak, Epstein, and Trump as almost like three musketeers. They have lots of, I guess, I don't remember the specifics. Barak's one of these ones I need to dig into one of these days. He's an odd past. I think he has weird business ties with Epstein. But here's Epstein in 2016 to billionaire Tom Barak in an email. Send photos of you and child. Make me smile. So great. Now, Tom Barak, the billionaire real estate investor and close friend to Trump, was arrested in 2021 on federal charges of acting as an unregistered foreign agent for the United Arab Emirates. That's fun as well. I didn't know that. Evidence in Epstein's... Okay, never mind. That's a separate thing. Oh, no, I know this is correct. Let's dig more a little bit, I guess, in the Barak thing. I didn't realize she had more to it. So let's get into this. It says, evidence in Epstein's case included an itemized list of purchases that were gifts. This included an $11,000 Rolex watch, itemized in August 2003 as a gift from Tom Barak. 3 years later, in May 2006, we gave him a $11,000 Rolex. So I guess we do know this, that there's like at least that confirmation of a relationship. 3 years later, in May 2006, Barak's assistant sent an email to Epstein's assistant requesting a time change to a scheduled meeting between Barak and Epstein because of something urgent that had come up. Tom would be willing to meet him at his home or office, whatever works, Barak's assistant wrote. Epstein suggested that they meet at his home. A representative for Barak declined to comment about the meeting when asked by reporters, but said Barak has never received any gift ever from Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell, let alone a watch. Trump announced private security executive Tom Barak, his longtime ally, who faced legal scrutiny for his work on behalf of the Arab Emirates, as his pick to be the next U.S. ambassador to Turkey in a true social post. So I guess he's the ambassador to Turkey as well. I know he's doing Syria stuff. Or no, maybe it's Lebanon. Maybe it's both. I know for a fact Lebanon. Yes, Lebanon he's for sure. Syria, now I'm actually doubting myself if he's a Syria ambassador. Lebanon and I guess Turkey. Trump said Barak, a California billionaire, is a well-respected and experienced voice of reason to a wide range of thought leaders in both political and business circles. Barak is an Arabic speaker born to Lebanese parents, that makes sense, who built deep relationships with Saudi officials and Gulf monarchies going back to the 1970s. He even allegedly helped open diplomatic relationships between Saudi Arabia and Haiti. In 2021, the DOJ indicted Barak for secretly lobbying the Trump campaign on behalf of the UAE, all while cutting massive business deals behind the scenes. He was acquitted in 2022, but the overlap between politics and profit speaks. He was also the founder of real estate and private equity firm Colony Capital, which he led for 30 years. That's been criticized by some as a vehicle for Barak to enrich himself personally while generating mixed or disappointing returns for investors. He stepped down from the firm, which transitioned its brand to Digital Bridge, when he's arrested on federal charges of illegally lobbying on behalf of the United Arab Emirates. It was reported Barak used the firm to buy Neverland, Michael Jackson's property, and allow Jackson to continue living there during the 2008 mortgage crisis. That's crazy. That dude bought Neverland while Michael Jackson was living there. And then you add in the weirdness of the rumors perhaps about that. I mean, I don't know. I can go both ways. I'm also open to the conspiracy that Michael didn't do nothing too. Like, I'm completely open to that. So Jackson also appeared in Epstein's contact book. I mean, there's also the other additional interesting thing too with that. I mean, I don't know. I guess we haven't found like a strong Israel connection. I was about to make that would be getting over my skis, trying to make some sort of Israel connection there, because I was thinking like, oh yeah, Wacko Jacko was kind of known for kind of pulling a yay back in the day against the Jays. So I was like, is that why they bought his place? I don't know. Other than Michael Jackson's name and contact in Epstein's Black Book, Tom Barak is the only documented connection between the two late famous pedophiles. Barak made a name for himself by brokering Trump's $400 million purchase of the Plaza Hotel in 1988, and the two remain closely connected since. He served as senior advisor during Trump's first campaign and chaired the 2016 inaugural committee. He raised $107 million for Trump's inaugural fund, a record-breaking amount that later drew scrutiny when investigators looked into whether foreign actors were offered access through Barack's network. When the investigation into Barack intensified in 2021 after he was charged with acting as an agent for the UAE, Trump tried to distance himself politically. And then he was acquitted in 2022. Okay, now it's just kind of getting redundant. He bailed out Weinstein in 2017. That's interesting. In October 2017, just days after the New York Times exposed Weinstein's history of sexual assault, Weinstein's company board member Tarak Ben Ammar announced a cash infusion deal from Colony Capital, a firm owned by Trump's friend Barack. Barack said his goal was to return the company to its rightful iconic position in the film industry. At the same time, Colony began negotiations to purchase part or all of the Weinstein company, while the board rapidly dissolved amid resignations. Timing raised eyebrows. Within a week and a half of the scandal breaking, Barack's firm was positioned to take control of a major Hollywood studio, and one could reshape both the artistic and political direction of the industry. In a Washington Post interview that same month, Barack said his goal was to bridge tolerance for Trump in the financial, media, and entertainment communities, worlds that, in his words, really don't like him in a visceral way. Now, I got this from Amber Speaks Up. That's at AmberWoods100 on Twitter. She puts out some good threads I cover on here occasionally, so do recommend her. But yeah, Barack fucking glows, I would say. All right, finishing off, let's look at one more email, and I'm sure we'll probably, in days to come, have more emails that we'll be looking into. So let's read this one right here. What are we looking at? This is Jeffrey Epstein to Reed Weingarten. It says, let's start from the bottom. It says, have one of your cronies asked to see the mortgage to Mar-a-Lago. Kash from Electricians Union. His driver's Matt was the bagman, later made an exec to the public company, and the $30 million loan from the casino to Donald Trump. Backdated. I don't know. I don't really know enough about money stuff, but that sounds like that sounds shady. That sounds shady. I'll roll the chat, see what you guys got to say. Pop in there. Let's check in. Ooh, I see lower numbers than normal today. I don't think it sounds like. Looks like YouTube does not like me talking about gooning. They say, don't you're fucking with our business model. Cut that shit out is what they say. Let me roll through the chat, see what you guys got to say, and then we'll get into the J6 pipe bomb story some more. All right, let's go through. Oh, Keybert, okay, you said once a month. I thought you were talking about once a month about pussy. No, I'm just talking about porn. So, let's keep going. Massey's controlled op says mustache. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, a little sketch. He's been running hard with the pipe bomb thing, which, to be fair, maybe he just, I don't know, for some reason trusts these people more than he should or something. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Cheryl Hall says, oh my God, I love Israel so much. Please keep sending me cocaine. Addicted Colombian chicks distract me from having a meaningful family or existence. Yeah. Let me see. Scrolling through. Mustache says Putin is a Jew, as his mother was a Jew, as was his grandfather, perhaps. All right, you guys are all talking about goonin', and that fun. And as I say it, yeah, I'll go. Make sure to hit the like button, people. Help a brother out. It really does seem like they don't like me talking about goonin', so that's great. Justin says they're obviously not going to release anything that incriminates Trump, but it says something they've waited so long to release what they just did. I don't know. I really don't. I struggle to know how to read all these things. There's probably so many shadow games we got going on that it's really, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you that there's got to be something. There's got to be some reason to it. I mean, maybe it could just be coincidence. Seems weird though. Let me see. Trump looks guilty as hell when he pretends not to do Epstein or Maxwell, obviously playing stupid or more stupid than usual. Is he doing that again? I haven't seen him. I know he said he'd known him and stuff. If he's still playing dumb, I know like way back they kind of played dumb. Catching up in the chat. We're almost caught up. Let me see if you got anything else in there. You can be ambassador to multiple countries? I guess so. I mean, we got fucking Marco Rubio is holding multiple cabinet positions right now, let alone an ambassador position. So then they put MJ back to work for a very short time, says Justin. That's, I guess, after Barack bought. Smooly was close to Jackson, says Mustache. Ricardo says, sue me, Jew me, kick me, kike me. From Michael Jackson. Yeah, that was my understanding. That's the original version. Yeah, he was not playing around. I think that says something. He's getting a little sick of some shit. Expressing his feelings. Let me see. Good morning, Jake Moore. Good morning. Michael Jackson, Donald Trump, Plaza Hotel. Sounds like a job for Kevin McAllister. Ooh, jeez Christ. Yeah. Probably getting diddled, yeah. All right, cool. We're all caught up in the chat. Let's get into the pipe bomb stuff. Let's start off with, we'll see what Steve Baker, the latest. This came out last night around 8 p.m. So let's read the Blaze's story. It says, FBI whistleblower pans Bureau for alleged gross misconduct and fraud in early Jan 6 pipe bomb investigation. The Biden FBI is guilty of gross misconduct and/or fraud for calling off surveillance of an early person of interest in the Jan 6 pipe bomb case, an FBI whistleblower alleges in a letter to Congress. The letter refers to events that occurred nearly 5 years before Blaze News disclosed that the surveillance subject lived next door to a Capitol police officer who is now a potential forensic match to the gate of the bomb suspect. After reading the November 10th protected whistleblower disclosure from an FBI supervisory special agent who is still at the Bureau and November 8th Blaze News investigation of the pipe bombs case, U.S. Representative Thomas Massie believes the FBI has been engaged in a cover-up or has been grossly incompetent. I actually agree with that as well. Either way, Massie told Blaze News in a statement, these latest revelations about the pipe bomb investigation require answers from the new FBI director. The Blaze News investigation said former Capitol Police Officer Shawnee Ray Kirchhoff, 31, appears to be a forensic match to the gate of the pipe bomb suspect. A forensic gate analysis arranged by Blaze News rated Kirchhoff's stride as a 94% match to the individual shown on video planting pipe bombs the night of Jan 5th, 2021. The gate analysis used a computer algorithm to analyze walking parameters including flexion, hip extension, speed, step length, cadence, and variance. The veteran analyst who ran the study said based on visual observations the program can struggle with, he personally pegged the match at close to 98%. I don't know what the fuck that even means, but okay. He just said, do. I'm going to go with 98. Okay, thanks, Baker. Kirchhoff has not been charged with any criminal conduct by any law enforcement agency in connection with the pipe bomb incident. The FBI has not responded to Blaze News' request for comment. Attorney Kurt Siazadek of Madison, Connecticut, filed a 10-page protected disclosure on behalf of his client, the whistleblower, with Massie and U.S. Representative Barry Loudermilk, Republican for Georgia, among the most active lawmakers still investigating January 6th and its aftermath. Loudermilk is the chairman of the House Select Subcommittee to investigate the remaining questions surrounding January 6th. The FBI supervisor said that after FBI agents came within yards of the person who has been identified in Blaze News' reporting, the FBI surveillance team agents were ordered to cease their investigation, deny permission to conduct at least one logical interview, immediately remove surveillance, and was reassigned to do general leads work. The neighbor identified below in the whistleblower complaint lived within feet of person of interest 3, and she appeared to be the same individual as investigative reporter Steve Baker identified as a former U.S. Capitol Police officer who is currently associated with U.S. intelligence agency, Suze Dick wrote. After the FBI identified several persons of interest in the pipe bombs case, Squad 21 of the Washington Field Office Intelligence Division was assigned to do FISUR, or physical surveillance, in the Bailey's Crossroads section of Falls Church, Virginia. Kyle Seraphin, who was then a member of Squad 21, told Blaze News the surveillance lasted 2 days before the squad was pulled off the case without warning. It is funny, they're talking about a whistleblower here that, well, never mind, they lived within feet. Okay, never mind. No, that's a neighbor. I'm mixing up the neighbor with the whistleblower. Now, the whistleblower is, I guess, somebody who would assume within the FBI as part of that. Now, what I'm wondering here, which maybe if we ever get a lawsuit, we'll find out, it would be super funny, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the whistleblower is Kyle. Which, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I could totally see that being the case, because technically Kyle went on my show forever ago, and I remember talked about this. I remember it was funny. It was like almost like a year later that the Daily Wire ran with it when Kyle was telling me it way before then that he had like this whole story about like the card or this or that, and that he followed him or whatever. You guys go find that on my show way back when. Just search Kyle Seraphin on my show if you want to see that. He was making these claims about this on my show way back then. So I find it would be interesting if he was the one being used for both, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised from some of the slop I've seen from the both of them, honestly. The new whistleblower said the female next-door neighbor of the man being surveilled was photographed by FBI agents. The neighbor had been photographed by the FBI surveillance team, and her photograph and attire similar to the individual who allegedly placed the devices, Susdick said. And I'm still going back to that, too, because I was actually like, the wording here, nothing about the wording here necessarily says they're different people. I guess the new here you could almost debate, kind of does, but not really, because you're like, oh, I don't know. I mean, you could probably maybe find a way to J your way out of that one. The neighbor had been photographed by the FBI surveillance team in attire similar to the individual who placed the devices. The FBI had already determined that the man referred to in FBI documents as a person of interest 3 should be interviewed by agents. But when Seraphin proposed that he do a knock and talk at the man's door, the idea was rejected, Susdick said. The face-to-face interview with person of interest 3 would have obviously led to the doorstep of the neighbor, Susdick wrote. However, investigative steps offered by the FBI agents in the field were rejected, and the agents were immediately reassigned. The discontinuation of the investigation was described as improper. Kirchhoff is named in consumer, banking, and credit records as having resided next door to the man under surveillance. She later moved to Alexandria, Virginia, when Blaze News Editor-in-Chief Christopher Bedford visited the area of Alexandria near her residence the night of November 7th. The curtains were drawn, 2 civilian-looking vehicles were in the driveway, 1 civilian-looking truck was out front, and the 4th vehicle pulled up after Bedford parked. 2 plainclothesmen got out of the final car, and a 3rd joined them from inside the house. The 3 men stood sentry in front of the home for a time. The local police responded to Bedford's visit, and when he tried to drive away, he was quickly pulled over and asked why he was in the area. The local police promptly allowed him to go after he provided his ID and explained the reason why he was near the address. Internal FBI documents included in the protected whistleblower disclosure corroborated information contained in a January 2025 report from the Committee on House Administration's Subcommittee on Oversight. According to the documents, FBI investigated an individual known as Person of Interest 2, who was seen on surveillance video taking photographs behind the Capitol Hill Club the morning of January 5th, about 9 hours before an unknown subject in a gray hoodie placed a pipe bomb next to a row of rolling commercial garbage tubs. The man left the area and later returned to walk through Rumsey Court, which runs behind the Capitol Hill Club and the Republican National Committee building. When he was later questioned by FBI agents, the man claimed he was taking photographs of objects bearing numerals for a book project. Agents used surveillance video to track the man through part of the day, January 5th. He arrived at the Capitol South Metro Station from the East Falls Church Metro Station at 9:58 p.m. Capitol Police observed Person of Interest 2 switching hats when we exits South Capitol Metro, an FBI report said. After taking photographs behind the Capitol Hill Club, Person of Interest 2 walked around the U.S. Capitol complex and met with 2 unknown individuals, the House report said. The FBI considered Person of Interest 2's behavior suspicious and said he could be considered a possible accomplice to the pipe bomber. The man again walked through Rumsey Court before proceeding to the Capitol South Metro Station and riding the train back to Falls Church, Virginia, where he arrived at 6:53 p.m. FBI records show that Person of Interest 2 was dropped off at the East Falls Church Metro by a Volkswagen Tiguan. Registered appeal Person of Interest 3 was put under surveillance by the FBI a week later. Person of Interest 2 used a prepaid Metro Smart Trip card to pay for the train rides. The Smart Trip card was purchased by Person of Interest 3, the FBI said. The FBI interviewed person of interest 2, who was not identified in the investigative documents Blaze reviewed on January 19th, 2021. The man was subsequently dismissed as no longer a person of interest in the pipe bombs case. The FBI also cleared person of interest 3 without having any role in the placement of the bombs. The U.S. report said the FBI did not explain on what basis it cleared persons of interest 2 and 3, indicate how the men know each other, or explain how person of interest 2 obtained the other man's prepaid smart trip card. In November 12th story, the Daily Wire reported that law enforcement suspected a particular Falls Church, Virginia man's Metro card had been linked to the case, and also the Capitol police officer was in fact his neighbor, literally sharing a wall with him. The man told the Wire his Metro card was used by a childhood friend who traveled from the South to attend Trump's rally and stayed with him to save money. The Air Force vet let him borrow his card and picked him up from the metro station in Virginia after the rally. He said, both men are Trump supporters. The men said that he'd been interviewed in the matter by what he believes to be Metro Transit Police, as was his visiting friend. Furthermore, the man told the Daily Wire that he does not believe his Metro card was used by his neighbor, the Capitol police officer, on January 5th. Blaze News was unable to independently confirm the Wire's report. Blaze News investigative reporter Steve Baker knocked on the front door of the man's townhouse on November 9th, but he declined to comment. All right, well, that sounds pretty thorough, right? That sounds legit, doesn't it? Well, I don't know about that. Here is our homie Ken. He says, material error. Blaze said the pipe bomb suspect, the ex-Capitol police officer, used a smart trip card of her neighbor, who was later a person of interest. But it was actually the neighbor's friend who used it, a 63-year-old, 5'11" white man, per Daily Wire and Julie Kelly. So, yeah. So here is, let me see, you see here, we're underlined, smart trip allegedly used by the pipe bomb suspect, Kirchhoff 98% match, it says here, and then you go, the Daily Wire on Tuesday saying it was not his neighbor who used a transit card, but in fact a friend of his. So if we're to, obviously Daily Wire sucks balls too, but we have conflicting reporting already. So, yeah, and then as I've been pointed out from the jump, this is all around gate analysis. So, yeah. Yeah, the man, an Air Force veteran who requested anonymity to avoid his name being linked to a serious crime, lived next door to a Capitol police officer named in a story by the Blaze on Saturday. The report said computerized gate analysis suggested that the person who planted pipe bombs at the Democratic and Republican National Committees on January 5th moved with the same mannerisms as a particular female Capitol police officer who later shot non-lethal rounds at protesters. So, yeah, not looking good for Baker's story. Once again, the gate analysis shit, it's like, what does that even mean? It sounds very weak to me. As I've mentioned multiple times, I think it's typically a law enforcement proprietary technology, and they were kind of, and even the way they worded in that article, how they received it was kind of like, it sounded like it was literally handed to them by somebody else. Like, hey, here's this. Who is that somebody else? Is that a Fed? Probably a fucking Fed. So you have Fed giving you info, and then you're getting info wrong. I don't know. This, I mean, sure, maybe it's just slop. Maybe this is boomer nonsense. I don't know. But, I mean, if the feds wanted one of the most important things to unlock the J6 story obfuscated, I really can't think of a much better way for them to do so. Here is a clip of Kyle. Let's watch this, and then we'll get Julie Kelly's commentary on it.
According to the report that Loudermilk put out in January of this year, so at the 4 year later of the January 6th investigation, they put out a report, and I'm happy to read it to you guys. Did you guys read this yet?
No.
Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
I've done this a couple times now, so I'm getting good at reading it. Page 60. Almost immediately, the FBI identified multiple persons of interest whose actions on or before January 5th raised questions for the case team. In documents obtained by the subcommittee, the FBI identified a person of interest, POI2, who on the morning of January 5th, approximately 9 hours before the subject planted the pipe bombs or the explosive devices, security cameras captured, again, POI2, photographing a dumpster next to the location where the RNC pipe bomb would later be planted. According to the FBI, after taking pictures of this dumpster, POI2 walked around to the Capitol complex, met two unidentified subjects, and then returned to the same alleyway behind the RNC, entered the Capitol South metro station, and rode the metro to Falls Church, Virginia. Notably, the agents assigned to the case team determined that POI2 had used an Uber account and a Metro trip card, smart card, a Metro Smart Trip card registered to a separate individual, POI3. That's who I was surveilling, who lived in the Falls Church, Virginia area. According to internal emails obtained by the subcommittee, the FBI's case team considered POI2's movements to be highly suspicious and considered POI2 as a possible accomplice to the pipe bomber, but not the bomber, him or herself. In the weeks following January 6th, the FBI directed significant resources towards investigating POI2 and POI3. For example, the FBI placed both POI2 and POI3 under FISURE, or physical surveillance, by the Washington Field Office Special Operations Group, also known as SOG. That was my squad. The FBI also obtained grand jury subpoenas for cell phone data associated with POI2 and POI3's phone numbers and issued preservation requests for their blank, blank, and blank accounts, which are going to be different facilities, and PII is keeping them redacted. With help from United States Capitol Police, the FBI tracked the movements of the two unidentified subjects that POI2 met while walking around the Capitol complex on January 5th. On January 19th of 2021, FBI agents interviewed POI2 and ultimately eliminated the individual as a person of interest. According to a summary of the interview that was obtained by the subcommittee, the FBI learned that POI2 traveled to Washington, D.C. to attend First Amendment activities on Capitol Hill on January 5th. And throughout that day, POI2 photographed, quote, objects bearing numerals, end quote, including doors, dumpsters, and other objects, and intended to use these photographs in a book he was writing. The FBI's review of POI2's cell phone and photographs appeared to corroborate his story. However, the interview does not elaborate further on how the case team verified POI2's story. Following the interview with POI2, the FBI ruled out POI2 and POI3 as persons of interest. POI1, I believe, was probably the actual pipe bomber. And it's my suspicion that POI2 was the boyfriend, who was also a Capitol Police officer. And I've never seen the book that he wrote about the numerals that are on fucking dumpsters and why.
I had it muted there. Let's see what Julie Kelly has to say here. So just last night, Kyle Seraphin, after reading from a congressional report related to persons of interest in a pipe bomb investigation, claimed POI2 was a Capitol Police officer and the boyfriend of the alleged pipe bomber identified by the Blaze. Turns out POI2 was a 62-year-old man at the time in from out of town to attend Stop the Steal events. Oh, and according to his friend, POI3, who hosted him, he's a religious educator / evangelist, and why can't I say that word? Evangelist. God, this is the same man Seraphin before accused of being the pipe bomber. Look, I can't disabuse every single person on X who is trafficked in Seraphin's lies. More to come, and want to believe, despite all evidence to the contrary, that the investigation into the men was closed for legit reasons. But if you want to keep listening to his destructive garbage, that's your sad prerogative. She goes, Seraphin, who also lied about the individual he was surveilling. He was surveilling POI3, the man I spoke with today who lived next to the Blaze ID'd pipe bomber, not POI2, the out-of-towner who used the Metro card. POI2 did not live there, and there is more to unpack in his statements related to collaboration with Baker as to the coincidental addresses of the Blaze pipe bomber and POI3.
2 red squares, those are doors, obscured by an aerial photograph. On the right-hand side is the person that was POI2 that we were surveilling. On the left-hand side is the alleged pipe bomber that Steve Baker came up with, and he told me about that person's address on Thursday or Friday of last week. And he told me the address, and I said, MFR, they must have been in on it. And this is worth you seeing. 2 red squares, those are doors.
All right. So it says, and so in the span of a few minutes, Seraphin lied about the individual he was surveilling, lied that the individual lived next door to Blaze, ID'd pipe bomber, lied that POI2 was a Capitol Police officer, and lied that the neighbor was Blaze ID'd pipe bomber. I actually accidentally left a little meat on the bone on Ken's breakdown over here. It goes, Daily Wire interviewed the neighbor ex-Capitol Police officer named by Blaze. So that's so when we look at how we point out how Daily Wire he reported differently than Seraphin and Baker are reporting currently. According to them, they interviewed him, which, don't get me wrong, I mean, this is kind of, Blaze and Daily Wire, they both suck balls. So, I don't know. I know everyone's probably rolling their eyes about Daily Wire reporting, but Daily Wire allegedly interviewed the neighbor. So did Julie. So here you go. She says, I spoke this morning with the individual believed to be person of interest 3 in the FBI's original pipe bomb investigation. I will not name this individual to protect his privacy since he just found out today that he'd been under FBI surveillance for allowing another individual, person of interest 2, to use his Metro card to travel to Washington, D.C. for Stop the Steal events on January 5th and January 6th. POI 2, according to a congressional report published last year, was seen on security cameras on the morning of January 5th photographing a dumpster next to the location where the RNC pipe bomb would later be planted. The days after January 6th, the FBI considered POI 2's movements to be highly suspicious and considered POI 2 as a possible accomplice to the pipe bomber. Both POI 2 and POI 3 were placed under physical surveillance by the FBI's Washington field office. 2 told investigators in an interview on January 19, 2021, that he had traveled to D.C. to attend First Amendment activities on Capitol Hill on January 5th, and that throughout the day, POI 2 photographed objects bearing numerals, including doors, dumpsters, and other objects, and intended to use these photographs in a book he was writing. Both men were ruled out as subjects by late 2021. I guess that was what they're talking about with the numerals thing. That is weird. Both men were ruled out as suspects by late 2021. POI 3 is a 63-year-old man currently employed by the Air Force, which that is a little sketchy. Here is what he told me today about the use of his Metro card by his friend. He says, I have a friend who came up from the January 6th Stop the Steal protest. He lives out of state. I've known him since 1969. We went to elementary and high school together. He's from my understanding not affiliated with anything illegal or immoral. He's kind of like an evangelist, what the hell? A religious educator who goes all around the world preaching the gospel, but he's very Republican, very pro-Trump person. Which I know, I'll be honest, I've seen people like that glow. So I'm open to there still being something here. But, this is reporting. He's probably 67 years old now. He's probably 63 on January 6th. He came up a day before, or a couple days before the January 6th date, and I took him to the Metro. He stayed at my house. I took him to the Metro, and I let him borrow my Metro card. I have an extra Metro card. I have one that I use to ride the Metro every day, and one that I keep as my personal thing. This is during the pandemic, so I was working from home the entire time. So he went downtown the day prior to January 6th, and he was downtown on January 6th. I know he was doing some type of journaling for the event. I know he posted some stuff on Facebook. He was keeping a log telling everyone about the events and activities that took place. And I think on the 7th of January, I took him back to Dulles to catch his flight. He came up again for the inauguration, and I let him stay at my house again. Now that relates to my friend who I've known since elementary school, who I grew up with. I live next door to this individual who supposedly is identified as a pipe bomber. From everything I've heard, I've lived in this house since 2003. So in 2021, they had moved in the year before, her and a gentleman. I knew them purely in passing exchanges, pleasantries on the street. I never went to their house, so I don't have any idea of their political leanings in any way, shape, or form. I've been contacted and did look into the paper, and when a picture of the supposed person came up, I said, yes, that looks like her. All I can say is there's 2 people involved in this that I know. My friend who went to elementary school and high school together, who asked for a favor to let him stay at my house during the January 6th rally. As it relates to this lady, this policeman, other than her living next door to me, I have no involvement with her in any way, shape, or form. It was my understanding they worked for the Metropolitan Police Department. That's all I know, and they were not there for long. They just lived next door to me. She says, I'll have much more to say in this shortly. Says the allegations of the blaze. Never mind, we already covered a lot of the allegations because this was a little bit before. Let's get back into Ken's. He saw the Representative Loudermilk Committee report confirms the reporting. It was POI 2 who used the report or the card, not the actual suspect nor the person named by Blaze. So you also have another representative. Kyle initially told the Washington Times it was the actual suspect from the FBI surveillance footage who used the Smart Trip card. That's what he's been saying this whole time. What a fucking liar, though I'm hardly surprised. So yeah, always stay frosty, people. Don't just buy into anything. I know it's tricky because you're like, ooh, they're telling us they did it. And you're like, well, that's the time you need to be the most careful, when they're telling you what you want to hear, what you already think. And I don't know. I mean, pay attention a little bit more. I don't feel like I even really took that much paying attention to be like, yeah, come on, let's wait on this one. It's a little rough. But if you are looking for some real ass glow, here's some real glow. Here's more from Kenny. So this is a self-described Fed who wasn't in charge until after January 6th released footage of him fire a gun. Who is he talking about? Well, a Donald Trump supporter who fired off a gun during the 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, who was arrested last month on kidnapping and sexual assault charges. This is by the NBC News, positioning this guy as a Donald Trump supporter. Then here's this guy. Here he is, John Benuelos, responding to somebody on Twitter. It says, do you want information from a former Fed? Let me know. So So we got a little light glow here. And here's another little fun just a little tiny bit of glow coming off here. Here's Luigi Mangione in prison, chilling with Hugo Chavez's former head of military intelligence, Hugo Carvajal. That's the man over here on the right. So just, yeah, I don't know. Well, but all right, let's pop in the chat. Let's check, see what you guys say. Be sure to hit that like button, help a brother out, boost the algo. Let's check in and see what you guys say, and then we'll get into talking about Kash's bitch, making him look like a silly little goose. See what you guys say. Justin says you don't get much more obvious false flag than someone in a hoodie planting a fake pipe bomb. And I agree, Justin. I want to be very clear. I think this is an op. I know it's an op. Like, I guess I don't know, but it's like obviously an op. It's very obviously an op. But then the problem is, like, now when you have the government coming in and like, oh, we're going to solve it. I mean, I get Blaze and Steve Baker aren't the government, but they're like pretty goddamn friendly with the government. Yeah, I don't know. Call me crazy, but I'm just a little doubtful when it seems these types coming down with these sort of news. Been paying attention to them for too long to not be like, oh, you're trying to make us look fucking stupid. All right, let's keep going. Hit that like button, says Boba. I agree. Please do. Let's keep going. The official Fed training pipe bomb, says Chuck Bam. Yeah. Whole thing is a psyop, says Chuck Bam. Yeah, I'm calling out the glowies because I don't want my water towers piped. Good morning, Wiseout. Good to see you here. But yeah, I definitely agree this whole thing is a psyop. But then I also think like we're going to solve it feels like a fucking psyop too. I mean, once again, it also could just be slop. So these are some boomers who like their slop. So could just be slop. Although I'm not going to lie, I feel a little glow. But let's move on to the next topic. Let's get into Kash's beard and talk a little bit about that. But just to kind of set the stage ahead of time, just to be safe, what we're going to do here is just for the rest of the episode, legal disclaimer. The statements contained herein are offered solely as a personal opinion of the author and do not constitute assertions of fact. The author expressly disclaims any possession of evidence, documentation, or insider knowledge substantiating the matters discussed. No claim, allegation, or implication of wrongdoing is directed toward Kash Patel or any other individual or entity. Nothing in this communication is intended to defame, libel, slander, or otherwise harm the reputation of any person. The author does not suggest, imply, or represent that the opinions expressed are true, accurate, or based on confidential, proprietary, or privileged information. Reference to mythological figures, realms, or deities is purely rhetorical and carries no literal meaning. All statements are protected under protected speech under the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, and no reader should construe them as factual assertions or legal conclusions. The author reserves all rights and disclaims any liability arising from interpretation or reliance upon this communication. I think the odds of Kash spending his afterlife in Valhalla are likely lower than they have previously been. All right, that was silly. But that was a 9mm SMG on Twitter. It's a fun follow, a little spicy, just a warning for those. But if you're here, you're good with it, whatever. So just let you know. But obviously, that's a joke, although not a joke. I just want to be clear. All this, real quick. This legal disclaimer, just to be safe before we get any suits coming our way from the girlfriend of the current sitting director of the FBI. But what am I talking about here? This is what I'm talking about. Here's Candace Owens saying, Kash Patel has to step down. This is excruciatingly embarrassing. He's a teenager in love representing the federal government. Well, she gives him far more credit than I do. Well, she's referring to Max Blumenthal here from his reporting over at the Gray Zone. This is Kash's credibility goes down in flames over Epstein and Charlie Kirk. He's activating his legal network to punish America First podcasters who offended his girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins. Wilkins' lawsuit against Elijah Schaefer is one of the more absurd documents I've seen. So let's dig into this. This is over at the Gray Zone, written by Max Blumenthal. So let's get into it. Look at this goof. So this fruity goof. The wind was at Kash Patel's back in the early months of 2023. It was during this period the Trump-aligned legal operative met Alexis Wilkins, then a 24-year-old wannabe country music star who would become his girlfriend and launch his foundation, Fight with Kash, which pledged to unite America's first patriots to fight the deep state. You know what? Let's take a moment, actually, before we continue on this. Let's back up. Let's take back. Who are we talking about here? who is this person? I mean, we always get it's his girl. We saw a picture of her. Oh, she's kind of cute. I don't know. Something about the face. I'm not really caring about the eyebrow. I know it's a little too intense here, but otherwise pretty cute. Toit. They're always talking about like all this work she does. She has this weird like political work for some people that we've talked about on the show. Kind of weird. Some sort of PR type stuff, I think, if I recall correctly. But then always it's thrown, she's a big old country music singer. So let's check in. What kind of music does she sing? I don't know. We'll probably keep this short. I don't know what the copyright rules are, but just check in. What kind of music are we talking about here? Let's see this.
When the American dream was a Cadillac and a red, white, and blue, showing how you act, things you got, you worked for, you didn't think twice, got not locked in your door. When people did the right thing with no one around, they looked at each other and found common ground. From the music to the flag, I ain't living in the past. I'm just saying that I want my country back. Lord, glory down on Maine.
Oh, God. All right, that's awful. That's awful. This is some AI country music. You guys go check that on your own time before I get a copyright strike. She does seem to be a little bit litigious, so I do not want to push it. Here. But all right, now that we've introduced you to this this trollop, let's keep it moving. With a telegenic Wilkins by his side, Patel seemed to be living out the quixotic storyline of the children's book he had co-authored a year earlier, The Plot Against the King, in which a fairy tale named Knight Kash embarks on a spree of revenge against enemies of King Donald. But almost 3 years later, Patel's tenure as FBI director appears to be unraveling in a series of embarrassing congressional testimonies and public meltdowns related to his suppression of Jeffrey Epstein's client list. Patel recently activated his legal network to fire back against his most voracious critics. However, the targets of his wrath are not the deep state liberals or anyone resembling the Hillary Queenstown villain from his children's book, but the most ideological, zealous voices in the American First Movement, whom he's accused of slandering his girlfriend. Disgusting, baseless attacks against Alexis, a true patriot, and the woman I'm proud to call my partner in life are beyond pathetic. Attacking her isn't just wrong, it's cowardly and jeopardize our safety. This is from Patel on Twitter on November 2nd. 5 days earlier, the law firm of Jesse Banal, Patel's personal lawyer and chair of his foundation, filed a bizarre lawsuit accusing right-wing podcaster Elijah Schaffer of having perpetuated a malicious lie about Alexis Wilkins, falsely claiming that she, an American-born country singer, is an agent of a foreign government assigned to manipulate and compromise the director. The suit also took aim at Schaffer because he frequently posts anti-Israel rhetoric, accusing Israel of controlling the United States and its politicians. Now, here is an actual part from the lawsuit as something they actually literally put in the court document here. So it says, defendant frequently posts anti-Israel rhetoric, accusing Israel of controlling the United States as politicians. It shows a tweet from Elijah Schaffer saying Trump doesn't want to admit that Netanyahu doesn't fear him. Israel has more control over the USA than we do over them. Our politicians are hook, line, and sinker sold out to the Jewish state regime. It's genuinely disheartening. We must remove these parasites from AIPAC. Elijah Schaffer, crush it there. I don't know what they're talking about. Schaffer rose to online prominence during the Biden era by rallying right-wing opposition to Antifa and Black Lives Matter activists. On J6, he embedded among rioters in the Capitol and photographed the home screen on Nancy Pelosi's office computer. Schaffer's commentary continues to outrage his opponents on the left while advancing the ethos and objectives of MAGA. Now he's among a growing cast of America First influencers facing an aggressive legal assault waged from within Trump's inner circle. The podcaster's alleged offense was quote tweeting a single photo of the FBI director arm in arm with Wilkins, who was clad in a red cocktail dress, above a separate tweet referencing honeypot operations by Israel's Mossad. In fact, numerous Twitter X users have posted an identical photo to make precisely the same joke about Wilkins and Patel, invoking a substantiated theory that has been reverberating across the internet for months. Wilkins is seeking $5 million in damages from Schaffer for the seemingly humorous social media post. Because he quote tweeted, what is it? I know that was the Iranian thing. It was a pretty good tweet. I remember this. This is it right here. He quote tweeted that this Mossad sent female operatives deep into Iran, seducing top officials, infiltrating government surveillance networks, and carrying out sabotage missions. Yada, 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 yada. Kind of like, filleting the Mossad women for blowing dudes in Iran, I guess. Congrats, ladies. And then Elijah Shaver quote tweeted with a picture of Kash Patel and Alexis Wilkins. So nice. Back to the story. Shaver's lawyer, Onir Lopez, told the Gray Zone he's never seen a lawsuit like this, describing it as a textbook slap suit or strategic lawsuit against public participation. It's very troubling when government officials' girlfriends are suing members of the media for posting third-party comments, he said. Lopez describes his client's tweet as an opinion clearly protected by the First Amendment. If you're the director of the FBI, you're holding the nation's secrets and national intelligence, and we should be skeptical about your relationships, especially if it's an uncommitted relationship like a girlfriend. It's perfectly fine to raise questions, and Elijah Shaver didn't even do that. He added that he may seek legal discovery of Patel's communications with Wilkins. If Kash does know about his lawsuit and he hasn't stopped it from happening, that shows there's something wrong in this relationship, says Lopez. If he does know what's going on, it's highly improper. It makes him a witness in the lawsuit and puts his text messages with Wilkins in play. Fuck yeah, let's go. Shafer is not the only right-wing podcaster Wilkins has targeted through the FBI's. Oh no. And you know what? I'm noticing a pattern. This August 27th, Wilkins sued Kyle Serafin, a former FBI agent, self-described conservative Catholic journalist who had become an outspoken critic of Patel's conduct. As with Shaver, Wilkins uses Patel's personal lawyer to sue Serafin for satirically referring to her as a Mossad honeypot. Wilkins is also suing former congressional candidate and self-described America First national Sam Parker for $5 million for allegedly suggesting she was manipulating the director on behalf of Israeli intelligence. All right, yeah. So she's out there suing people for putting some heat in our name. Here's Ken pointing out the more ridiculousness here, saying that they actually put this in the court document. Here is one part of it. So literally right here, this is a tweet. It says, "Imagine her face when Mossad told her who her job was going to be." Then another one for it. So they're literally just posting random replies. Here's one. It says his application for FBI director stated show Bob's and Vagine. That he was offered a Mossad wifey. He just had to make the pledge. Full support, Tsar. Full support, Tsar. Full support, Tsar. So that's currently in a legal document of the girlfriend of our sitting FBI director. That's fun. We are not a serious nation. All right, and moving on. Remember we talked to you about that Halloween story? Well, it doesn't look so great. There was one problem. No criminal charges had yet been filed when he made his big announcement, and local police weren't aware of the details. Two friends of the alleged terrorists in New Jersey and Washington State caught wind of the arrest and moved up plans to leave the country, according to court documents and law enforcement officials familiar with the investigation. You may remember on this show when we dug a little bit into that story, and it glue quite a bit. I mean, obviously there was no smoking gun there, but and even if it wasn't a glowy thing, it's like, dude, the way you handled it was fucking retarded, and many such cases. And to kind of bring this back to gooning, I think you might see where I'm coming to. I just want to remind you guys, the FBI is working with Palantir. Let's see what they have to say. And we'll bring it full circle to gooning. You might be a little confused what I mean now, but just let's focus in now on the FBI connection. Let's worry about that, or the rough government connection, and we'll go from there. All right, let's play this. This is Radix here. Karp confirms Palantir works with the FBI, is what she says. Let's see if this clip backs up what Radix just said.
We have a long and meandering relationship with Silicon Valley. In the beginning, we were at odds because we were pro-American, pro-West, and pro-making the government functional, and that was very controversial in Silicon Valley because it equated to not making any money and being a loser. We won that battle, and I think Silicon Valley actually has become very, at least officially, and even behind closed doors, patriotic. And Silicon Valley has always been pro-meritocracy, and we're very aligned with that. Where we're currently at like a misalignment alignment apex again is we believe in using large language models in a way that creates actual empirical value, but also is very strong for workers, technical people, whether you're a plumber, carpenter, electrician, or you are a high school grad working in a plant where you'd normally be doing engineering things or couldn't do them. We see our products as being able to enhance your market value. And so we're kind of pro-labor and pro-military. So we're much closer to Silicon Valley on the patriotism thing. But for decades, we fought Silicon Valley about, government is something we should support. We walked towards the government when everyone walked away. That's how we ended up powering Maven, which is the U.S. government's military.
Yeah, he took advantage when the Google workforce said, we don't want Google to work on Maven. And we
built it, yeah. But
explain what Project Maven is.
Well, so to find an adversary on a battlefield from any sensor, including space, is a massive integration and analytics project. So how do you find basically a needle in a haystack, and where that needle is also complex because it may look like your adversary, but maybe that person's actually working for you. Maybe they're in your service. Maybe their phone has been compromised. Finding that needle in a haystack. So find a person that is your adversary you want to take out across a massive landscape where you have a human controlled in the loop, like targeting workbench. So you say, this target's been approved. Why? Under what conditions? The data protections that are necessary, the civil liberty protections, interestingly, that are necessary. And doing that at scale on the battlefield was not possible, and now it's been used in every operational context across the world. And there are many things that have led to America's ability to reestablish its deterrence, I would say, after the disaster in Afghanistan. But one of them was actually one of many heroism of our soldiers. I think one of the other things is just the superiority of the targeting capabilities the U.S. government has. And, there are other people and other companies, but we are the backbone of that.
A lot of your government connections, they go back early. You've worked for ICE. You had a long-term contract with them, right?
Well, that's actually later. Our first contracts were at U.S. intelligence, so CIA, right, special operations, and FBI. And our biggest contracts ended up being in the DoD. And then later we started working in Homeland Security under Democrats. Now it's very controversial because it's Trump, in my view.
All right, and then now that's obviously the AI getting into FBI what's the word I'm looking for? I had a good word ready. Essentially inserting themselves into the government, making themselves an inextricable part of it. I did want to poke into the chat real quick to explain something I did say. PJR said this Elijah guy is a fucking glowy himself, and he said this seems like theater. Now I want to be very, very clear. I have no fucking idea. I have no anything, because that is kind of what I meant when I said a second, like, oh crap, I'm noticing a trend. Now, I don't know anything. I've been on this show once, seems nice enough, whatever. I had people who I used to consider friends who have been or done stuff with them a lot, so I don't fucking know. Who knows? It's probably great. For all I know, he's wonderful, but it is like, that is a rumor that goes around, so do with that what you will. I don't watch his show enough or pay attention enough or know his history enough to really have a strong opinion one way or the other. Yeah, so... But I just thought that was funny. Like, as I noticed, it's like, crap. And I didn't even think about it. I never put those two together. Because I remember the Kyle Seraphin lawsuit, and then I didn't realize it really was only Elijah in this thing. For some reason, I thought there were other people involved in this suit. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying Elijah's a glowy. I have no fucking idea. I've literally got nothing to point to it. All I'm saying, I was just literally making allusions to the rumor that people always say he's a glowy. So, and he even leans into it. So whatever. But I have no idea. I don't have a strong opinion either way. He could be, could not be. I don't know. All right, let's get back into this. Let's make the jump from that to my next point. Okay, so we've got AI, we got Palantir. Perhaps we're gonna get some murder applications. That's basically what we're gonna have it. Perhaps maybe a kind of a inverse goon here too. I wouldn't be surprised if they find ways to plant shit on people or this. I don't really understand Palantir well enough to be honest. But anyways, kind of vaguely AI ingratiating himself to government, becoming one with it. Becoming too big to fail. Well, continuing more on the too big to fail, here's Sam Altman. He's the OpenAI guy. He's the one who actually, this is a little bit more on the nose. He's the one who just dropped videos on OpenAI. They're like the super high-tech stuff that a lot of people have been saying. So let's see what he has to say.
At some level, when something gets sufficiently huge, whether or not they are on paper, the federal government is kind of the insurer of last resort, as we've seen in various financial crises and insurance companies screwing things up. So I guess, given the magnitude of what I expect AI economic impact to look like, I do think the government ends up as like the insurer of last resort, but I think I mean that in a different way than you mean that, and I don't expect them to actually be like writing the policies in the way that maybe they do for nuclear.
And there's a big difference between the government being the insurer of last resort and the insurer of first resort. Last resort's inevitable, but I'm worried they'll become the insurer of first resort, and that I don't want.
Some level.
So obviously the OpenAI thing, which I believe if I recall correctly, he got like $100 million contract or something in the U.S. AI. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, I've been saying this for months now. They're going to make AI data centers critical infrastructure, and I oppose it along with the federal government ensuring it. Now, I do bring this up because this is a story I haven't really been covering a lot, and I do think it weirdly all ties together. I haven't noticed it particularly where I'm at, but I know a lot of areas are getting these data centers, and their electricity bills are going through the fucking roof, and they're absolutely insane. They just don't have the infrastructure. Like, if you look at all the metrics of this stuff, it's absolutely insane, especially once you start getting into the stock market. It's like so much of our stocks right now are driven on this like theoretical idea of AI taking off. And I'm of the opinion the more that the more we dig into it, the more that like that's not going to happen. Like, yeah, we'll get these things where like, I don't know, you can use them for podcast descriptions or to create I don't know, just little stupid rote work or whatever that like, but otherwise it's probably just going to be used for porn or murder. And the way that the electrical grid works in our nation, since it's socialized, is that and it's so much restricted and like via regulations in different areas. I mean, it's like kind of quasi-private, but essentially it's kind of broken up. Like if you're in an area, you usually only have like one or two electric companies in a certain area. Like I only have one, I think, where I'm at. So essentially it's a monopoly. And if an AI data center moved into where I was at, like I don't necessarily pay exactly for what I use. Is my understanding is it's somewhat broken up. Like it's I think it's a little bit of a mix from my understanding. Maybe it differs by state, but point being is that they are essentially tapping into these grids, exploiting their electricity, and they end up having essentially. I mean, while they are one of the people and everyone technically pays taxes and this and that, they're using an absorbent amount of the energy than other people are, and it's affecting other people's bills. It's also just that we don't even, in some places, there's areas where they don't even have the electricity to like support this. So, I mean, a money thing, infrastructure thing. So, and they've put so much money in this, and we have such a absolutely tanking economy. This is kind of what I'm driving at, where I really think the future, they are banking on gooning. Like this stuff is going to turn to gooning. But anyways, moving on with what Taylor Greene is saying. She says, this means you'll never be able to get rid of the AI data centers built near you that causes your energy prices to skyrocket out of control and turns your once flowing faucets to a dripping trickle. People, you have got to pay close attention to your local city, county, and state approvals of data centers and demand your water and energy bills be protected. But yeah, and there's also been lots of talk. I don't remember what AI it was. Maybe it was OpenAI, but it was like talking about getting ready to start using it for porn. I think Grok was as well. Fucking AI, or Elon's been a weirdo sharing like fucking gooner shit AI stuff for like probably like a month or so at least. So yeah, that seems to be what they're leaning into, and they're like opening up to that. And it even goes even creepier than that, even creepier than just porn, because we're talking about, we already are in a situation where people are getting weirdly. I mean, I've never gone like this. I mean, I've seen some people who legit like kind of almost talk to their AI. And if you're getting to like a porn type mindset, and if you have this, you can kind of almost create this weird, I don't know, almost relationship, I guess. I don't know. And if you are now applying sexuality to it, gets very, very weird. Now, it's funny. Fuentes actually did have a rant recently that I saw that came across my timeline. It was pretty hilarious. He was making the point that actually, like, this is a good thing in a sense because this will flip the balance of power from men to women. And I actually, in a certain sense, kind of agree. I actually think that might actually, in the long run, be a positive benefit. Kind of also for the reasons I gave before. I think it may essentially enable a generation of men to get control of their cock, essentially. And then, yeah, by relation to that, you essentially diminish the power of women. So they come crawling back. So I think there might be a point to that. But there obviously will be an upset in the meantime. But as I kind of mentioned before, there is a flip side to this too. I think with the controlling your cock, I think it goes both ways. You also just don't want to find the same pussy, the first pussy you find, and just grab onto him, because you will be miserable for life. Now, I'm about to share this. I found this morning, and this is, I do feel like this kind of plays into it as well. This is Myron Gaines shitting on a Kash Singh, which I guess they had, there had been this whole, but to be clear, I'm not necessarily saying Myron's tactics with women are right either, but to the idea of controlling your cock, and even if it is just one woman, I think it matters. Here's a Kash, and let's watch. I'm going to go ahead and warn you guys, this is painful, but we'll watch this.
Yep, that's Me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
What I find corny is my preference is not my women. Now, I thought it was I'm not dating my women, period, which is the corniest human being outside of a criminal to me, period.
Akash only dates Brown. Akash has been with one girl in his life who is his wife.
That's my wife. That's an
so
Indian
this
woman.
is like loyal through and through.
Sometimes I get so painfully nostalgic for college. I was popping my pussy and living my best life in these white boy frat houses.
I'm actively trying to have an orgy because, and you haven't seen Nav yet, but wait till you fucking see him. His body goes crazy. His face card always slays, never declines. And it's kind of weird because I'm talking about your husband. I just know that Nav's dick is like at least 10 inches. Okay, I have two butthole stories. So one time I met this guy on Tinder and I made the dumb mistake of letting him sleep over, like not really wanting to fucking hook up. And I like woke up in the morning and like my asshole was a little sore. Oh my God. And I remember that he
what
like. What kind of porn do you watch when you use a vibrator?
Okay, not gonna lie, I don't watch porn while using a vibrator. What? I just think my imagination is vibration enough.
Wow.
I just think of like my own husband while I'm like doing it.
Wait, that's kind of baller, but I could never do that.
Yeah. And so I was using you and your husband split finances. And I'm gonna be really fucking honest.
I don't.
We don't.
First of all, that's a fucking red flag. I'm not like, no joke. I love you girls. If you want to work, all for that, whatever. But like any man that doesn't want to have a joint bank account or isn't being transparent with his accounts or has separate accounts, that's a fucking red flag. This is not a two-way street. This is a one-way street. His money is our money and my money is my money. And look, have I only made $600 from content creating?
Wow, I went up $100 from last week.
But that's my money. Okay.
I don't know if you watch The Boys, but I love him on The Boys.
I never watched that show, but like he's on my hall pass list.
Oh yeah.
Chase Crawford, Jacob Elordi, Austin Butler, and who else?
Do you know why I think I have like a good marriage? I think it's because my husband's never here.
Okay, so I've been getting a lot of comments that I'm using my husband for clout, and yeah, that's exactly what it is. No lies were told. I am leveraging the support I have. It's kind of like nepotism, but like through my husband, so like spousal nepotism. What's wrong with that?
Just absolute yikes. So yeah, yeah, and this isn't even the worst of it. I actually I hadn't watched this clip yet, but I did watch I don't remember what YouTube channel, but it was one of those YouTube channels just popped up. So yeah, just all around. It's not just about as simple as finding a woman and settling down. It's you got to remove that negative that compulsion. To be able to think clear, you got to control your cock. If you want to control the future, control the cock. But on the flip side of that, as I'm kind of a symbol of the future, perhaps, I guess this episode itself kind of displayed this, but people always say, the symbols will be their downfall or whatever. But like, you know what? I think perhaps gooning will be their downfall and the lack of it will be our uprising. So young men, rise up and release your cock and control it and do not become like this fucking simp right here. Here's Elon Musk. Keep in mind, we just played, I think, yesterday, the Alex Karp one of him doing the whole thing. Here's him trying to look really cool so he can goon.
Okay, let's see it.
It's pretty sharp.
Let's see the the blade.
I mean, it's several types of these
And
things.
also the blade of grass.
Yeah. So.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's very impressive. Yeah, I definitely trust you. I'll hold it. I have witnessed many a mishap. Thank you.
Have you? Oh, Jesus, sorry. Speaking of mishaps, I just stabbed you. Sorry.
Okay.
This is a terrible idea.
Hey, you want to do this? Is this the best way to hold it?
I have no idea.
You know what you should.
All right, I can't watch this anymore. This is awful. All right, guys, I think this is about all today. Be careful. Stop touching your peener, all that. Get you a good Korean girl, says Uncle Ted. hit that like button, please, people. But yeah, I think I made a pretty good case today. I mean, maybe I didn't lean enough into the AI stuff. I felt like I should have sprinkled that in, but a little bit heavier. But I do think with the AI stuff is the big thing. I think they're banking on that, and I think as it becomes, now I'm not saying this is necessarily the plan for the future. Perhaps I wouldn't be surprised, or from the jump that it was like the plan from the jump. I wouldn't be surprised, but. It looks like it's going to present itself that way, I believe. Once all the other applications that they're fantasizing about AI somehow miraculously doing, I think a lot of those are going to fall through, and it's going to naturally just become a jerking off thing and a murdering people thing. So, and I think the way we fight against that is by essentially, you are literally basically creating the short is what you're doing. You go, now. Not cranking it. You're just having this useless thing out there, and who knows? Maybe we can get the government to go bankrupt and have to remove those assets around and get it back to us. All right, let's get out of here. For those who want to support what I'm doing, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. And if you want to really support the show in the best way you can leave a, God, I'm saying that backwards. You can go to patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. At the highest level, or the lowest level is $2. That gives you access to early episodes. I do usually 1 to 2 of those a week. Try to keep 4 behind the paywall at any given time. And I also give you guys access to the RSS feed, the Telegram, pre-show, the post-show, and video calls for me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead. It was a great one last week. Lots of calls, and it's seeming to pick up. I'm loving where it's going. And I give a big shout out to my sponsors. Every episode is a big thank you for everything that they do. A big shout out to my previous co-host on Tower Gang, at Learner Toad, also at Abrogate D's, at ZOVRECK, at _Infinite Zeal, Tim Tuttle, at Jolly Klebo, Big Fan of the Show, Torme, at Wayne Tackless, 1-800-CAR for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark, Vestibule, and Jacob Winograd of the Biblical Anarchy Podcast. And that's weird. I just realized the Libertarian Party just followed me. That's weird. Okay, cool. Especially after my weird beef from last week. I'm surprised that happened, but cool. But going out here, guys, enjoy this outro from a friend of the show, Foundering. He had a banger that really took off on Twitter, so we'll share that for the outro today. Make sure you do the likes, all that stuff. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Love you all. Bye-bye. Oh, I don't even have it up. I'm retarded. Give me a second.
Honey, 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 Alexis is my honey, she been assigned to me. The sweetest little honey pot I fill with hot curry. I'm true Hindu with cross-it eyes, I'm compromised. Are you surprised she's attracted to this 40-something skinny Apu? Are you? Alexis is my honey, she sings them country tunes. They groomed her good at PragerU, and now she shills for Jews. Watch how the kikes unite with Pajit and Dakshin for tweeting our honey pot schemes. Alexis is my honey, and so's the chosen race. And if you call her honey pot, we're going to sue your face. We made up a patsy for Charlie Kirk, it hardly worked, we're retarded jerks. The Epstein files are gone, how odd, it doesn't matter that he is Mossad. Alexis is my honey, and I'm her Vindaloo. The FBI's been honeyfied by Net and you know who. Now everything is honey, and I am what I eat, although it fills my tummy. I'm still a stinky jeet.